super fast. Anyway, yeah. So subtraction. And, of course, squares are numbers with square roots, right? So if you have the subtraction of two perfect squares, you have what we're going to do here. And all of you already know this. Even if you haven't done Math 10 already, we've already done these questions this year, except instead of writing it out properly, I put a 0 in the middle of it to show you what it was actually happening. Because if we actually expand this, we get x squared minus 4x plus 4x minus 16. And what happens right there? They cancel out. And you end up with x squared minus 16. And all of you already see the pattern. X squared, the square root of x squared is x and x. 16, the square root of 16 is 4 and 4, which tells you if it happens once in math, how often does it happen? Every single time. So if you have a square minus a square, that's the wrong way to write it, idiot head. If you have some number squared minus some number squared, and you factor it, it is always the square root of a squared plus the square root of b squared, and then you just write the exact same values again with a minus sign. Okay? That's it. That's all there is to it. Now you will notice every single one of the questions, every single one of the examples I give you here is not as simple as this one, are they? Because the answer here was this. A squared minus a squared. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. But if you'll notice, all my examples are different. Because this is so easy in concept, but because numbers get so much bigger than 2 as an exponent, I'm giving you difficult ones in the practice. And, of course, you will notice I've left a lot of white space at the bottom to give you a couple of more weird situations. So let's start with this very first one. Obviously, it is a difference of squares, because that's what this page is about, even though this doesn't look like it. How do you know that that has a square root? What is the hint? The 16. Because it's an even number, it has a square root, doesn't it? Because you can cut the exponent in half. Because when you cut the exponent in half, when you remultiply, you just end up adding them back together, right? So we know what the square root of x to the 16th is. What is it? No. 16 is the square of 4, not the square root of the exponent. By that argument, you would need the square root of 2 here, which is 1.414. That's not what it is. When you're doing square roots of radicals, please don't write this down because you need the reminder. What is the square root of 16? Because that's what we're doing here. What's the square root of 16? 4. Why? Because 16 is the same as 4 squared, yes? And if I have 4 squared there, I'm going to bring out, I drew the arrow the wrong way. I'm going to bring out a single 4, yes? Because I'm looking to groups of 2, yes? So what then is the square root of 256? 16. Because 256 is 16 times 16, yes? Which is 4 squared times 4 squared, yes? Which is 4 to the 4th, yes? So when I bring out 16, I'm really bringing out 4 squared, yes? So what is happening to that exponent when I square a root? It divides by 2. It is not the square root of the exponent. You are dividing it by 2 because you are taking out groups of factors. Everybody cool? So I'll ask again, what is the square root of x to the 16th? X to the 8th. Now, I'm going to put a little star there because I'm going to do something later on that will address what just happened. Okay? And what is the square root of 1? 1. So it's x to the 8th plus 1, x to the 8th minus 1. Now, a great many of you, even if you've already done Math 10, are going to stop there because you say, I'm done, it's factored. But of course, you're not done. Because what do you notice? There and there. Is x to the 8th the perfect square? How do you know? Because it's got an even exponent, so it can be divided in half, yes? Is that subtraction? So this is the difference. Is 1 a perfect square? Does 1 have a square root? We just took the square root of 1. Literally 1 second ago. 1 times 1 is 1. So 1 has a square root. So is this son of a motherless... Do any of you recognize where that quote, son of a motherless goat, is from? Any of you? I would be very surprised if any of you did. It's from a movie from 1986 called The Three Amigos. If you have a chance to see The Three Amigos, it is an uproariously funny movie. Like, laugh out loud. If your grandma watches it and she has bad bladder control, she'll pee her pants a little, is how funny that movie is. Right? Or even your mom, because when your mom gets old, that happens. I know this. Is that a difference of squares? Yes or no? It is. So does that mean I can continue to factor there? Of course I can. Can I do anything here? No, I cannot, because it is not a difference of squares. So I have to leave the x to the 8th plus 1, but this will become x to the 4th plus 1 and x to the 4th minus 1. Now a bunch of you will stop there. Can you? Should you? Yes or no? Of course not. Why? Because 4 is a perfect square and 1 is still a perfect square. And we still have a subtraction. But can I do anything there or there? No. So I got to write it again. What a pain in the rear. What's this one going to be? X squared. What? Plus 1 and? Surely I'm done now. Don't call me Shirley. Another great joke from an old movie. Does anybody know where that one came from? You guys haven't seen the movie Airplane? What are they teaching you kids in school nowadays? Airplane's on Netflix, I think. Do yourselves a favor. Super funny. Great jokes like that. Like, Shirley, you jest. Don't call me Shirley. Right? Jokes like that through the whole movie. You get the joke, right? The word Shirley, and the name Shirley. Surely you understand the joke. And then you say, don't call me Shirley, because I said, surely you understand the joke, and I'm talking to you. So you say, don't call me Shirley. You know what the best part of jokes is when you explain them? It makes them way funnier. Surely we're done here, but we are not. Why? Better. Did I leave anything under there? Yeah! Now you're getting it. It only took half the semester. X to the 8th plus 1. X to the 4th plus 1. Man, I'm getting a sore wrist. X to the 2 plus 1. Then x plus 1 and x minus 1. And now am I done? Yeah. Yes. Why do you know you're done? Because That has an odd exponent, which means it cannot have a square root. Everybody cool? All right, see how the easy concept ends up taking you a little bit further than you might have thought at the beginning? Let's look at the next one. What's weird about 2? We have x and y. If there was no y there, what would it be? What's the square root of x squared? X. Plus, what's the square root of 50? What's the square root of 225? 15. Wise asses. And then what would I write? X minus 15. But there is a y there. So, if there were no x there, what would it have been? Y. So, we just put our y there. And then, do you ever have to ask if you did it right? No, because you just check. Is xy times xy x squared y squared? Yes. Is 15 times a 15 225? Yes. So did we do it right?
Yes.
Of course we did. Why? Because we are intelligent people. Intelligent, good-looking, funny. There is no reason why every single person wouldn't be swiping. Which is the right way to swipe? I don't even know. Which is the way you're supposed to swipe if you're happy with the person? You swipe right or left? Right? Why wouldn't everybody swiping right for all 30 of us? Even the 2 people that aren't here anymore. Because we are all smart, funny, good-looking people. Right? Am I right? Can I get a hell yeah? Of course I can. I love Friday. Isn't it the best? 2 more of these, ladies and gentlemen. And the second one is going to be your exam. You can be out of here at like 9:30. If you don't have any plans for the next 2 Fridays, plan something for that Friday. I'm going to bring Anhad a little bed. That's how I used to sleep through class too. I had a professor in English in university. He would just tuck my essays under my elbow. He wouldn't even bother. He would just, I'd be like, and I'd wake up and there'd be a pile of essays under my elbow. I was like, oh, thanks, Professor Forbes. No problem, Matthew. Like, you don't care? Not really. You're a good writer. I don't really care if you stay awake through this stuff. Because the class was from 4:30 to 6 o'clock. Who can stay awake from 4:30 to 6 o'clock? If you go home at 4:30 in the afternoon, if you're sitting at home at 4:30 in the afternoon, that's when you start going, ugh, right? Of course I'm right. It was a stupid time to take a class. When you go to university, don't do anything dumb and take a 4:30 to 6 o'clock class. You'll fall asleep for it. If you go to university, you may choose not to. But I highly recommend it. It was a good time. Well, I had a good time. What's weird about 3? Nothing. Except I used a different letter. And you all know how I feel about it when kids tell me they can't do math if the letter changes, don't you? It makes me want to take my magic pen and stuff it into my eye. Because that really drives me up the wall. Oh, I can't do it. It's not an X. I don't know how to do it. Because I have actually heard that from people. And I'm sure all of you have heard that from people too. Some kid in your class, that's an A. I don't know what to do. Right? None of you have heard that? You just aren't saying it because you've been that kid. Yeah, now I know the truth. All right, so what's this one? Oh, and bonus points for saying Z and not Z. Well done. I know we're Canadian, but if I asked everybody in the room before I did this big thing, at least 50% of them would have said Z. At least. Be honest, how many of you want to call that Z? Yeah, you can be honest. It's not a problem. I'm not going to put you down. Except to say that we live in Canada. And the people that invented the language, the British, the English, say Z. But that's okay. It doesn't rhyme in the alphabet. Not everything is hip-hop, man. It doesn't always have to rhyme. It's not a crime if you don't rhyme. You just have to listen to 21 Pilots, that song where he says, I want to write, or when I sing. Oh, damn it, I can't remember the lyric. What's the lyric in the 21 Pilots song? I want to write, and I want to find some chords in an order that is new. I don't want to rhyme every time I sing. Right? That's the lyric, isn't it? I like 21 Pilots. They're a good band. If you're a fan of the 21 Pilots, the band 21 Pilots, are you a passenger? Get it? Because they're 21 pilots? Yeah. It's funny when you explain it. Why is there 21 pilots? There's only 2 of them. I don't get it. I also don't get how that guy can look like a superhero when he's a musician. Have you seen that guy? Have any of you seen the guy from the band? Do any of you know the band of whom I am speaking? Yes. At every concert, he takes his shirt off. He's a superhero. He looks like, you guys won't remember the toys, but back in the day there were toys called He-Man. You don't remember He-Man? Huh? The actual toy? You remember how muscly those dudes were? Their six-packs had six-packs. That's what that guy looks like. Any of you watch Gravity Falls? You know the Manitars? They're my favorites. When he talks about how manly he is, his nipples have six-packs or whatever it is. I'm going to watch that on my first break now. The Manitars. Yeah. Z to the 4th. Oh, now you just made me say it. It's all your fault, you ginder. Z to the 4th what? Plus 12. And then Z to the 4th minus 12. And surely you all recognize we can continue, can't we?
No, we can't.
Oh, we can't, Madeline. Why not? 12's not a perfect square. It's almost like you guys have been paying attention. All right, what's wrong with 4? There's a letter in both. That's one difference. What else is different? There's a number in front of both. Oh, damn, son. But does it matter? Of course not. Because does that have a square root? What is it? 2x cubed plus, does that have a square root? What is it? 5y. And then I just write it again. Yeah? Everybody's good, right? Okay, now, like I said, this white space at the bottom of the page, this is for weirdo situations. Like this. Is that a difference of squares? Sayash, you can't do that. You don't get to say yeah, no, yeah, no. You don't just keep saying yeah and no until I give you the answer, and you hope that you're on the right answer when I say it. You're like a politician. You just keep confirming and denying, and everybody will believe you, because sooner or later you're right about everything, right? Doesn't matter what you're saying. I believe that Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was white as snow. Everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go. Confirm, deny, and people will listen to you. You guys all shut up while I did Mary had a little lamb. You barely even laughed at me because I was confirming and denying. If I ever become a politician, you'll all vote for me. No, you won't. You're kids. You won't bother to vote. You'll be like grown-ups, and you'll just complain about everything but not actually vote to change it. Nothing bothers me more than those people. Oh, I hate Justin Trudeau. Did you vote? No. Shut up. So, Saihaj, which is it? Are you confirming or denying? What? You thinking about it? Okay. Would anybody else like to confirm or deny the existence of this as a difference of squares? Madeline confirms. Why?
Because you can just put the square on the x and put the square on the 2.
Not quite. Because this is, of course, not... Man! Remind me in the first break to actually restart my computer. This isn't really x squared plus 4, is it? No. But what do these brackets do to x plus 2? It makes it x plus 2 as a single thing, right? So, if I wrote this like this, is it a difference of squares? Yeah. If I wrote it like this, it would be a plus 2 and a minus... Holy crap, Harry, there is magic happening up here. You all saw that, right? That happened up there too, yeah? Okay. Now, does everybody understand this? Now, since it is a plus 2 and a minus 2, if I wrote it this way, if I leave that x plus 2 there, what should I write here? X plus 2 plus 2. And what should I write here? X plus 2 minus 2. Now what do I do with those numbers? What should I do right there? Add them. X plus 4, and what would this one be? Just x. Does everybody see what happened there? That is the first really tricky thing that will mess you up in factoring. If you don't recognize that whatever is in there is exactly the same thing as if it was a single term. Does everybody understand what happened there? This green line is what we actually did. The blue stuff is how you can think about it, because this is confusing to look at, right? Most of you, as soon as you see this, you want to do x plus 2, which gives you x squared plus 4x plus 4. Then you got to add another 4, and then you would have to factor that. It's way bigger and more work. Does everybody understand? Excellent. Okay, what if I gave you one that looked like this? 1/16 minus x squared. What would you do with that? First of all, is it a difference of squares? But what's weird about it? Two things now. There's a fraction, and it's written in the opposite order. There's no wrong order, because they're still different squares, right? So, if it was 16 minus x, what would you write? Not x. You would start with 4. 4 minus x and 4 plus x, right? Right? But it's 1/16. So since it's still a perfect square, we still just square root them. And we get 1/4 plus x and 1/4 minus x. Everybody cool with that one? Yeah? Okay. What if I gave you this one? This one always messes kids up. X plus 3 squared minus x minus 4 squared. Is that a difference of squares? Yeah. This one, it is. How do we deal with it? Because this one always messes kids up. I'll give you a hint. This is a good way to help process your thinking. If you write this, a squared minus b squared, you'd get a plus b and a minus b, right? If you think about it that way, right? Now we know that a squared, it's just going to be a, the square root of that, right? So this is just going to be, what is the square root of x plus 3 squared? It's just like we did over here. The square root of x plus 2 squared was x plus 2. So what's the square root of x plus 3 squared? x plus 3. Plus, what's the square root of x minus 4 squared? X minus 4. That's the first half of it. Then what do we do? X plus 3 minus x minus 4, right? Now, what do we have to do to finish this properly? We have to collect our like terms. What is x plus x? No, that's x times x. 2x. What is 3 plus negative 4? Negative 1. What is x minus x? 0. They disappear. What is 3 minus minus 4? 7. And that is now done. Does everybody see? It's an easy concept. Square root of the first one, square root of the second one, plus minus. But it can be written in very confusing ways. Is everybody cool? All right. Break is at 9:15. It is 8:50. I want you to do, it's called an assignment, but it's not an assignment. I want you to do page 68 before the break. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know I am not stupid. I know that this unit feels, man, we're doing a lot of practice, not doing a lot of assignments. Because there isn't really there's no end to factoring. Do you know what I'm saying? Like after we learned all the formulas for surface area and volume, we could go out and we could do something with it and we get a result, right? When we did trig, we could do something with it and get a result. When we did square roots and exponents, we can do some math and get a result. But factoring doesn't get us a result. We use factoring as a step to find results. In grade 10, it feels like we're just factoring, but all it is a step in math. Kind of like when I talked to you about Mrs. Bag Crumble giving you factor trees. In grade 5, it felt like, oh yeah, I can make a factor tree. And she didn't tell you what you were going to do with it. Here we are in grade 10, you see that factor trees are useful. Well, factoring doesn't have an end. But you're going to use it, if any of you take Pre-Calc 11, you're going to use factoring in 4 or 5 of the units you do. If you take Pre-Calc 12, you're going to use it in every single unit you do. If you take calculus, good factoring skills are assumed by your professors to be on the level of what I assume adding and subtracting to be. That's how much factoring you do in math. Okay? So that's why we are practicing it so much. I teach grade 11 math. Kids are still bad at factoring. My neighbor in this building right here teaches pre-calculus and calculus, and all he says to me, he says, Matt, if the only thing the kids learn in grade 10 is how to factor, then I'm happy with it. He doesn't care about anything else we do in this class, as long as you can factor. That's why I'm spending so much time on it, and that's why you're getting so much practice. Okay? So, even though not everything's an assignment, make sure you do the practice. Okay? Go. And remember,